this show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Effizode 637. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, the Brewmaster, plus a special look at the upcoming Oscars with Hollywood insider Reba Merrill on the feature Into an Interview. And we'll take a look at a very famous actress who made an interesting announcement. Mike's Daily Podcast. And the last show we did kind of a Valentine's special and we ate chocolates in a tent. Mike's Daily Podcast. Well, maybe not in a tent, but here at the last place on earth. And I ate quite a few chocolates. And that was from Floyd the Floorman's Big Valentine box. Yes, it was so good. But the chocolates turned out to be not chocolate at all. They were sold at the CVS pharmacy. I'm losing my voice. Zoinks! Scooby! Mike's Daily Podcast. Yeah, it's okay, Basil. Basil doesn't like it when I do a shaggy voice. He doesn't think it's groovy. Mike's. But that's daily. His prerogative. Podcast. Do you know the band Heart? Yeah! You know, from Seattle. We got a little bit of Heart exposure recently when the Super Bowl was happening and the Seattle Seahawks and all that, and they're from Seattle. Heart, I didn't realize this, but in 2004, they came out with an album that was very retro for them. It sounded like the stuff they were doing in the 70s, like Magic Man and I'm Crazy on You and all that stuff. In 2000, you know, in the 80s, let's start with that. The 80s, they went into the total, like, power ballad mode with What About Love? And These Dreams and How Do I Get You Alone? And all those wonderful ditties. So then some time went by, and I think their fans were like, you know, we're okay with that stuff, but we really like the 70s stuff. So in 2004, they did this album called Jupiter's Darling. I was listening to a little bit of it today. What is fascinating about it is that it was put up by a independent record label called Sovereign Artists Record Company, which they only sold about 175,000 copies of this album. It got to 94 on the Billboard Top 200. And then Sovereign Artists Record Company closed and stopped doing business. It has been reported that Sovereign still owes Heart thousands of dollars. But there's some cool songs like this one I heard today. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. That sounds very early Heart to me. The Ann Wilson singing there. And apparently it was produced by Ann's sister Nancy, of course, who also adds lead vocals and harmony vocals to the album, as well as plays the dulcimer on this album, and the mandocello, as well as the mandolin, the harmonica, and the megaphone. Quite a talented lady. And, you know, she has done several movie soundtracks. She worked on the soundtrack to the movie Almost Famous because her husband, Cameron Crowe, wrote and directed that. She appears in the Cameron Crowe written movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She's the hot blonde, I think, in the car that Judge Reinhold looks at for a second. I think it's been a while since I've seen that movie. And then also, it was she worked on Elizabethtown. That's it, the movie that featured Kirsten Dunst. Oh, yes, and Orlando Bloom. But if you type in Jupiter's Darling, you'll not only get that Heart album, but you will also get that movie that Esther Williams did. It was a musical, and I've never heard of this. It says here, a musical romance film, according to Wikipedia, from 1955, and it has to do with Esther Williams as the Roman woman Amytas, and then also in this is Hannibal, and in the movie, Amytas helps Hannibal swim the Tiber River to take a closer look at Rome's fortifications. It was based on Robert E. Sherwood's anti-war comedy play The Road to Rome from 1927. I didn't even know about this. Esther Williams. Oh, she does some swimming in this too, because that's what she did. That was her big thing, was doing these amazing swimming scenes in musicals. Oh, look who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How y'all living?
And it's a disgruntled fiddle player. Tell you what.
What?
I love Heart, man. That's some great music. There, you forgot one of them.
Oh, Barracuda.
Yeah, Barracuda. That's the song. Wow.
It sounds just like it. Wow.
Yeah, Michael. But I want to tell you something right now. I want you to come over here, and I want to tell you about something recently that I discovered about myself.
Oh no. You're not going to try and get me to accept someone into my heart or something like that.
What?
No, nothing. Just close to Sunday. So I thought you were going to testify or something.
I am going to testify. I'm going to testify that I recently, for the very first time, went onto Facebook.
The Disgruntled Fiddle Player was on Facebook?
That's right. And I'll tell you what.
What?
I was reading all this stuff and this hoo-ha people print, and I'm realizing that nobody is really honest on the Facebook. I mean, come on. You're supposed to be talking to your friends. Can't you say anything that you want?
Oh, well, like, what?
Well, you know, my socks really stink today. Stuff like that.
I don't think people want to know that kind of thing.
My hairline is going back to the back of my skull, and soon I will look like Mike Matthews.
Well, you know, maybe what you should do is stop wearing cowboy hats all the time. Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, but see, that's the type of input I would like to get when I'm on Facebook. So I will print these things, and people will tell me this stuff, right?
You may not have that many friends after you do that.
Well, then they're really not my friends, are they?
Well, Facebook friends really aren't your friends. A lot of them, anyway. People just say, oh, we're friends, and they've never met them. You know, that's the whole joke.
I never heard of Facebook until yesterday.
Well, that's interesting. Oh, look who else just walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the root beer. I'm the Brewmaster.
Brewmaster, I see you brought a friend with you here.
Yeah, this is my friend. He is called the Disfeathered Duck.
The what?
Disfeathered Duck.
We have the Disgruntled Fiddle Player and now the Disfeathered Duck? He's not the Disfigured Duck, is he?
No, Disfeathered.
Disfeathered, okay. As long as he's not disfigured, because then, well, you know, he would be also warmly welcomed by us as well.
What?
Yeah, I don't know either. Hello, Disfeathered Duck. I have no idea what he just said, but that almost sounded like a Donald Duck impression, but yet no words were being said or spoken. But nice to meet you, Disfeathered Duck. Boy, maybe he needs to go to the hospital, I think. So this was something I didn't know about. I don't think any of us knew about this, that Ellen Page is gay. She came out. So Ellen Page was in some great movies. Juno, she was hilarious in that, channeling Diablo Cody's voice through that movie. And then she was in this movie called Whip It, where she played an aspiring roller derbyist out in Texas somewhere near Austin. I like that movie. It bombed, but it was also, directed by and starred Drew Barrymore. I had a laugh or two from it, but she told a Las Vegas audience yesterday, I am here today because I am gay. She was speaking to a conference of counselors who work with teenagers who identify as lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, or queer. She says she suffered for years because she was afraid to come out. She told the audience, I'm standing here today with all of you on the other side of all that pain. Oh yeah, she was in Inception too, huh? And X-Men The Last Stand. So they're Ellen Page. Now some sad news, John Henson, not the guy from Talk Soup, but the son of Jim Henson has passed away. He was only 48. John Henson, who followed his father into the family business, he died suddenly on Friday from a massive heart attack. That's so strange. He was so young. He was at home with his daughter when it happened. He is survived by his wife and their two daughters. One's 15, the other is 10. He was a puppeteer on the Muppets, and he performed as Sweetums, the ogre, in films like The Muppets, Wizard of Oz, and Muppet Treasure Island. Also sad is that John's mother, Jane, who helped create the Muppets, passed away last spring. John's dad, Jim, died at a relatively young age as well, at 53, from abscesses in his lungs. But that is not the same John Henson as the one that hosted Talk Soup on the E! Channel way back when. The latest Muppets film, Muppets Most Wanted, is set for release next month. But talking about the John Henson who hosted Talk Soup, didn't they get some really good guys to host that show? I mean, John Henson was hilarious. Of course, Greg Kinnear hosted it in the beginning, and he went on to a successful acting career. And then there is the very talented Joel McHale, who does everything now. He's on, well, of course, Community, does the Soup. Now Talk Soup lost the talk, and now it's just the Soup. Oh, yes, and yesterday he was announced to be the host of the 2014 White House Correspondents' Dinner. That is a huge role. I think Stephen Colbert did it recently and just killed. Of course, that's where you're there in front of the president and you're cracking jokes, usually at the president's expense. And then the president gets up and says some stuff that is extremely funny, and you're like, oh my God, did he just say that? Oh, it was Conan O'Brien last year, Jimmy Kimmel the year before that, 2011 was Seth Meyers, there was Jay Leno, Wanda Sykes, Craig Ferguson, he must have been great. Rich Little did it in 2007, and then Stephen Colbert was actually in 2006. Before that, Cedric the Entertainer, Jay Leno again, and then Ray Charles was in 2003 because George W. Bush decided to eschew a comedian that year given the recent declaration of war in Iraq. There's also been Drew Carey. Oh, back in 2001, Daryl Hammond did it, and Daryl Hammond, of course, does a great Bill Clinton impression. And Jay Leno did it again the year before that. Jon Stewart did it back in 1997. Al Franken did it a couple of years. And it looks like Jay Leno's done it a bunch of other years. And it goes all the way back to Bob Hope, who did the first couple of them starting in 1944.
Mark, they should have asked me to get up there. I could say a couple things about the president.
You could. What would you say? Would you say some funny things, some nice things?
Oh, yeah, I'd take all kinds of pot shots at him.
You can't actually take anything that has the word shot in it because the Secret Service would...
I don't care about the Secret Service.
Okay, well, then I'm not going to stand anywhere close to you. That's okay, Mike. We got to go shopping. Oh, what are you going to go shopping for? Well, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player forgot to get me something for Valentine's Day yesterday, so now I can get anything that I want. Let's go shopping, Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
Okay, can the Secret Service take me out now?
Bye. Can't wait to buy that Lamborghini. Yeah, so the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Do you ever watch any of the stuff from that? I always think it's funny when the presidents get up there and make fun of themselves and the other people in the room, and then everybody's laughing and having a good time. And it's great because all year long, it's all politics and every name calling behind everyone's backs, and then suddenly they get to name call in front of them and make jokes about it, and everybody's okay with it. I love watching the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'll be firing up the C-SPAN to watch it. And when you got a great host like Joel McHale or Conan, Stephen Colbert, or Jon Stewart, it can be hilarious. What do you think about it? Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you would like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And there's the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. Go there. There are links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. You can subscribe to the show in iTunes, and you can comment and rate and rank the show there, and more people find out about us if you do that, as well as more people find out about us if you click on the Facebook page link and like the Facebook page. And when I post a new show, share it with your friends so that more people find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. Also, a great way to support the show is the Amazon Deal of the Day. Click on that link that you'll find at the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. And if you purchase something through it at a great discount, because that's what you will find, stuff discounted, we get a little bit of money for that. It's a great way to support the show. There's also links to where to listen to us on YouTube, Yelp, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wait, you can't listen to the show on Yelp. Anyway, you can find us on Yelp. And we're on Twitter. And there's the blog and the Daily Podcast picture all there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Into an interview.
Well, hello, Mike. Here I am in Southern California.
Hello, Reba Merrill. So you were a publicist for many years, huh?
Well, in the biblical sense, because I'm in the PR branch of the Academy, that's what my label was. But in reality, I was really a television producer who created programming about movies that played in 60 countries based on the interviews that I did. And so, because I came from local television, I didn't ask publicist-type questions.
Okay.
And so, therefore, I got remarkable answers. And I totally believe that you don't sell a movie by talking it to death. You tease it, which is probably why they have trailers. And so, yes, I'm in the PR branch of the Academy. I've been in since 1993. I worked on 2 Oscar-winning films in 1 year in 1988. I worked on Ironweed and the winning film Rain Man. I think that's what got me into the Academy. They like to take care of their own.
Very huge movies. And
I worked on a lot of huge movies, but I didn't work on a lot of action films. In reality, I worked on a lot of award-winning films that really were story-based with very few special effects or visual effects. So that's my strength. My strength was in my interviews. And if you go to my website page, you will see some of the interviews that have never been seen in the world.
Really?
Because the studios would have killed me if some of the stuff the stars said came out.
Oh, my. What's,
oh, yes.
What is that website?
So these are the secrets we're letting out of the vault. They're very interesting.
And what's that website?
The website is RebaMerrill.com.
Reba Merrill, and you got 2 R's in your name.
I have 2 R's and I have 2 L's.
2 L's as well. Okay. Well,
so the Oscars this year is really great for somebody like me. For the simple reason is there is no front runner.
There isn't.
I can't tell you who's going to win. And all the 5 films that I nominated got nominated. But I honestly can't tell who's going to win. I was just reading a very funny article from the LA Times, or is this the New York Times, talking about that the people managing the publicity campaigns out here like to pretend that you are the underdog, so you will feel sorry for the film and vote for it. How's that one? You like that one?
That's the strategy, huh?
That's the strategy. Hi, I'm not supposed to tell you anything, but you know, we're the underdog. And this is coming out of a studio.
Wow, so people are more apt to vote for underdogs. I wonder, so what would be considered an underdog this year among the picks?
Well, I would say that 12 Years a Slave, for the simple reason is not that many people saw it as American Hustle.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because as I look at the list...
It's really interesting. For some reason, if you talk to people, and not just Academy members, but just people, and they were afraid to see it because of the brutality, and so they didn't.
And it also won at the Golden Globes, Best Picture.
Well, yeah, but so did American Hustle. Okay.
Oh, that's right, for Best
That's what I love about the Golden Globes, and where I really wish the Oscars would do is that they have one for drama and one for comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy always gets a little short shaft. And I just... and anyway, there are only 87 members of the Golden Globes, and there's nearly 6,000 Oscar winners.
Whoa.
So in the old days, before this year, this is how you could win at your Oscar party. First, you take whatever guild, whether it's the Writers, Directors, or Producers Guild, whoever they award their prize to, you take and put that down. And then the king of all awards is the Screen Actors Guild, otherwise known as SAG here in L.A. And whoever they pick for the ensemble usually wins. And you ask me, why is that? Well, because in the Academy, the largest branch of voters are the actors. My branch only has 300. The actors have over 2,500.
Wow. So
that's how but the regular people don't know things like that.
Wow. So have a big ensemble, be the underdog. You're going to have a winning movie.
And there's one other thing going on. There's the secret spread of innuendo. You forgot innuendo.
Oh.
And that's affecting another film. That's affecting Wolf of Wall Street, where they have put Leonardo DiCaprio on the defensive, trying to explain why they didn't show the poor people that got scammed. That was not what the film was all about. But instead of talking about what it was like to work with Scorsese or any of the challenges of pretending that you're a drug addict when you're not, got lost in him defending the other half of the movie that wasn't even part of the story.
Yeah.
So it's kind of elements that start to build, and we have one more that we have not had, I think, maybe when Roman Polanski was nominated for The Pianist, did we have this? But this smear campaign against Woody Allen, and trying to pull in the actors that they should be punished because they worked with Woody Allen. You know, that's something really new. And I don't know how much of that is social media, Mike.
Well, let's see. So Woody Allen's Blue Jasmine, that's Cate Blanchett. She's up for leading actress.
And she is the front runner, and she's won every single award.
And supporting role, Sally Hawkins for that movie, Blue Jasmine, Best Actress.
Yes, but the young woman from 12 Years a Slave has won every single award.
Oh, yeah.
So more than like she's going to take it. And Oscars always like on that supporting Oscar to give it to an unknown and change their life forever.
But what was like one of your favorites or some of your favorite celebs that you got to talk to or that said some interesting things that really stood out in your mind?
Well, favorites sometimes for somebody like me was who was a big challenge, and I got them to have a good time and talk. And I would say one of the biggest challenges was Harrison Ford. He's very shy. He's really uncomfortable about doing interviews. I had no idea. I am the kind of interviewer that does a lot of homework before I sit down. I think in another life I was a librarian, so I'm really thrilled doing research. I sit down for Air Force One, and I said this to him before we sat down. Don't worry about the questions I'm going to ask. I know all the answers. I have a certain amount of time to break the ice and get an interview. So he didn't say anything to me, and then I said, here's my first question. Now remember, this was Air Force One. He's playing the President of the United States. And I said to him, you play the best heroes on film. Are you getting back at the bullies that beat you up at school?
Ah.
And he looked at me, and he said, I only told one person. Well, I didn't have the nerve to tell him the one person put it on the Internet. Okay? Obviously, Harrison doesn't read the Internet. And he proceeded to answer it. He had moved to a new school, and he was the sport of recess. And every day, they would push him. There was a hill attached to the school grounds, and they would push him down the hill. And this is what he said. He said, I got up, brushed myself off, and came up. Please don't feel sorry for me. The girls took me under their wing. But I thought in telling this story about somebody young, he also told us who Harrison Ford the man is, that he did brush himself off and go after it. He walked away from television. He was doing American, a lot of one night stands. No, I didn't mean it like that.
He was busy. He was
doing a lot of television.
A lot of television.
Like the Love Boat, Love American Style. That's what he was doing.
Right.
And he realized, this is what he said to me, it's a quote, that he was going to wear out his face. and he walked away from it. And he started doing, to support his family, carpentry. Now, here in the west side of Los Angeles, there are a lot of cabinets that have his name in it. And one of the people that he worked for was George Lucas.
What is it like at the Oscars when you go to a show? Because we just see, of course, from the camera's point of view, but...
Okay, well, first, ever since 9/11, you have to go through... you feel like you're at the airport, all dressed up in sparkles.
Uh-huh.
And so you go through 2 checks. One is you must bring... Your Oscar tickets are not enough. You have to bring a photo ID. And then you go through security. And then there are 2... Now remember, I'm not famous. That's what my book is all about. I'm nearly famous, but not famous. There are 2 red carpets with a fence between them, a low fence. You can't really... The camera doesn't pick up. It's a red velvet fence, okay?
Red velvet fence.
The stars walk on one side, and people like me walk on the other side, and we see all the stars being interviewed because it is one long line of press. I would say, if we wanted to tell you how long it was, it would be about 3 blocks long.
Oh.
Blocks.
Oh.
Now, there's television press and there's print press. There's a lot of photographers, a lot of flashing lights, though the Oscars are at 3 o'clock. That red carpet is really buzzing because it actually starts at 5 here in Los Angeles. So it's still light, but they still use a lot of flashes. And what I do so that I feel like I'm part of, I do the Oscar shuffle, which means that I walk as slowly as I can so that I feel like I'm part of, and hopefully a television camera on the other side interviewing a star will pick me up in the background. Now, it's tacky, but it's a lot of fun.
I'd probably do the same thing.
So what do we see? Well, we don't see commercials. Okay, that's the first thing. We have running bars at every level.
Running bars.
Every level with hors d'oeuvres.
Oh.
Because it's a 5 o'clock show.
Wow. So looking at the Academy Awards, just judging from what you know from the publicity machine, you think Best Picture might be 12 Years a Slave?
Nope, I think it's going to be American Hustle.
Oh, interesting.
That's that one. They're going around saying it's going to be 12 Years a Slave.
I see.
Though I have to tell you, if you go on old Oscar winners, they liked pictures like this, grandiose pictures like Gandhi won and Dr. Zhivago. I mean, these grand scale pictures. But I just wonder if enough people have seen it. That's all. And people that vote for the Oscars, and I can only speak for myself, I really do see everything that's nominated, no matter how much time and effort it takes. I feel that that's my responsibility. If I'm going to vote, I should at least see what I'm voting on.
Yeah. So you can...
That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm telling you, this Oscar is so wide open, anybody can win. This is my take. I think American Hustle. I think Best Director is going to go to Gravity.
Oh, which is Alonso
Cuarón. I mean, let's face it. Last year with Argo, because Ben did not get nominated as Best Director, I knew that it was going to be Life of Pi.
Ben Affleck.
Knew it. It was such an amazing film. I saw it not only at the Academy, which is the best theater in all of L.A., but I saw it in 3D, and inside Gravity. I saw Gravity in the 5th row, because somebody had said, if you really want to see this new 3D style, see it very close up, because I very seldom go to a theater close up. So we sat in the 5th row, and it was astounding. Totally astounding.
And what theater was that?
Oh, that's the Academy Theater.
Oh.
By invitation only theater.
Oh, I had no. Well, where is that located? Is that's obviously in Hollywood? Oh, Beverly Hills.
Yes, on Wilshire Boulevard.
And then Best Actor?
I think the Best Actor is going to be Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers
Club. His performance was absolutely extraordinary. Just extraordinary.
And do you think Kate
And
Blanchett...
I saw him, they did a Q&A at the Academy, and they asked Jennifer Garner, is there one thing that moved her the most in this film? And she said yes. Trying to figure out how to get a sandwich in Matthew. He was a skeleton.
Wow. Yeah, he did lose so much weight for that movie.
He lost about nearly 40 pounds. That's a lot of weight. He was never heavy to start with.
And actress?
I think it's going to be Kate Blanchett, regardless of the smear campaign against Woody Allen.
And, we didn't say supporting actor.
That's going to be Jared.
Leto. He's amazing in that, from what I've seen.
I would have thought it was really a woman. I mean, I just had no idea.
Wow.
That's what made it so incredible, is that when I go into a film and I don't know who it is, because I've gotten lost in who the character is, that to me is the best. And then I think the young woman from 12 Years a Slave.
Lupita Nyong'o.
And the performance really was incredible. I mean, the whole film was incredible. One little sidebar to that is all the scars on her back that were created by the makeup department, she wore through the entire shooting.
Wow.
As a reminder.
Now, we're going to hear more from Reba coming up. Reba Merrill. Not Reba McEntire. Here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. We're going to hear more from her in the next couple of weeks. She's written a book called Nearly Famous: Secrets, Lies, and Addictions. It's a Hollywood tell-all book, and she'll be telling all about her life in Hollywood and some of the really crazy things that happened to her. We'll talk to her more coming up soon. As we go outside the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And as she said, you can see some of those interviews that she did back in the day when she was interviewing some of these huge stars at RebaMerrill.com. That's Merrill with 2 R's and 2 L's. So the picture is of a recent tour I took of Anchor Brewing Company, and I have to tell you that this is the second tour that I've taken of this place, but it's a pretty awesome tour, especially because they give you free beer at the end. But it's a fantastic operation, and I'm going to stop using that adjective because you get the idea. It's a pretty enormous operation. They do all the bottling on site. They've used this factory now since 1979, and they were making those special beers like wheat beers and certain porter beers before anybody else. Not everybody makes those beers. Everybody does, and they were doing it before anybody else. So it's a cool place to check out, and it's a free tour that's right there in San Francisco around the Porter Hill area. That is the Anchor Brewing Company, or Anchor Steam, as it's more commonly known, because they use a steam method. Well, they used to use a steam method, and now they don't. They have modern machinery, but when they were making beer way back when, that's what they had to do, was the steam, because they had to cool it down on the roofs. And I've been through the tour twice. That's all I can say about it. There was steam involved. Okay, so check out that picture, MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Mike, I think I'm going to get off of Facebook.
Why is that?
I'm just getting tired of commenting on people's stuff and liking other people's things, and nobody gives a whip-whap about what I'm posting.
Yeah, that's sometimes happens on Facebook. You get these people that just like to post, and they never give any feedback to anybody else. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not. I like that. I'm doing the thumb thing all over the Facebook thing, but I'm just getting sick of it. I think I'm going to cancel my account.
Well, good luck with that, because you can't.
What do you mean?
Well, once you're part of Facebook, you can never leave.
What?
Yeah, it's sort of like being in the mob. You can never, you're always part of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Enjoy that bit of technological enlightenment. Tomorrow we will bring you, now that we've talked about the Oscars, it's time to talk about the Razzies. Yes, those movie awards that tell us what the worst of the worst is. You can actually vote for the worst movie of the year. And we'll talk more about that with the founder of the Raspberries and the head Raspberry himself, John Wilson. I love the Raspberries. So I hate when I watch a movie and I'm like, this was horrible. And this is a great way to get revenge on the Adam Sandlers and the Will Smiths of the world. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and talk to John Wilson, as well as hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley.
Mike, my friend, the disfeathered duck, wanted to tell you goodbye.
Oh, goodbye, disfeathered duck. Honestly, I have no idea what he just said. What did he just say?
He said, would you like a mug of oat beer?
Oh, sure, yeah. Always love the Brewmaster's root beer. Wow. That looks particularly poisonous today, Brewmaster.
Yeah, it might be because I'm jealous that you talked about Anchor Brewing Company again.
Oh, so sorry. You know I love your root beer the best. And they don't make root beer at Anchor Brewing Company anyway.
Mike, are you going to get a bunch of free beer sent to you now that you said their name like 80 times?
Probably not.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Dun, 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 dun.